I come from the Enga province where the belief in sorcery accusation-related violence is not cultural. But the scourge of sorcery accusation-related violence has a large number of people that are from Enga. Women and children have been killed and families misplaced. One of the big story that broke up was in 2013 of Kepariliniata, where a lot of people actually heard about it, saw it, read it on newspapers and TV and everywhere. And this was a story that is also close to my heart. See, my dad, he was the one that actually helped me claim the body of Kepariliniata and bury her. My name is Ruth Kisam. I grew up mostly in about 5 highlands provinces. My father was a missionary and a pastor in those places and mostly rural. I grew up in a Waiwave settlement in Mount Hagen down at Warakum. And the life in this settlement could have shaped me because it was hard. It was hard living in a settlement. It was hard living off a pastor's wages. But I would say that I attribute everything that I am now to that of my family, but most especially to my dad, Pastor Kisam Kasin. He was just a village man. He was not literate. He never went to school, and yet he believed in me. He told me that I could be more than what I am. He told me that the settlement where I grew up in did not define me. When I got accepted into grade 7 at Arkan Park High School, I wanted to go to Notre Dame because it was an all-girls school. But Dad said, no, you go to Hagen Park because I work at MNL Chegg, which is about 10 minutes walk from my school. And I'm so happy that he did, because what happened was we didn't have electricity at home. So what he would ask me to do is to do my studies at school so that he'll finish work at 5:30. So by the time I was done, I'd go wait for him. He'd close the shop and then we'd walk home together. And that was something that I really appreciate because I got my homework done. He wanted me to learn. And I think he saw something in me. And that made me feel special in a way that I felt my opinion mattered. And not only that, it made me see myself as someone that my father saw that as worth and value. And I guess that was what he sort of transferred across to his brothers as well. So all my fathers, his brothers that came from the village or who were with him in either in Hagen or anywhere else, they saw me as how my dad saw me. They didn't see me only as Kisam's daughter. They saw me as Ruth as well. I felt like my dad trusted me to be good, and I didn't want to break that trust. So it wasn't hard for me to actually pull out of second year law school when my mom fell ill. She didn't recover. We lost her in 2006. While still waiting to go back to school, I started getting myself involved in community work. One of those things was working with the community, the settlement that I was living in. And I would use my dad to get in the community leaders to come in and sit with us and then and have meeting, and we called it the executive community of Good Place Sit Down, a community group. What we wanted to do was bring some sort of order into the settlement that we were living in. We saw a lot of young girls were ending up pregnant before they were married. HIV was becoming more rampant. We were seeing young men brewing steam. Because I was brought up in the settlement, I also saw that most of what they were doing was a means to survive. With my dad and I, we said, okay, what we'll do is this. We'll get them together and see how we can sort of work with them to come up with ways in which to help them, which was why we came up with the Good Place Sit Down community law. We were still working on the community project, and my dad wasn't feeling well, and we had to go to the hospital. And that was in the October of 2013. We went to the hospital, and while waiting for his name to be called, I stood up and I was seeing the notices on the board, and I came across a notice from the OIC, or the officer in charge of the morgue, and on the notice board was written 6 names of people that were still in the morgue that needed to be collected, and one of the bodies was that of it was written Mary Payakukim Warakum, and I saw that it was a woman that was burnt, and we had to do something about it, so we did. We called in friends to help us out. The people from YWAM came in, helped me wrap up the body. And of course, Anton Lutz from the Lutheran Mission up in Wapnamanda was there. It was only 1 month shy. She was 1 month shy of her first anniversary. We buried her. At that time, I didn't know that she had a daughter. But it was 16th of November, 2017. I was in my office around 4 in the afternoon. I got a phone call from my dad again from a dad. And he got up and he said, look, you remember the woman that we buried? I just saw the husband, and he's saying that his daughter was tortured 3 days ago, and he couldn't get her out. So, and this is my dad saying, I don't care what you do, you have to get her out. And I remember at that time, I sort of went into a shock because this was a child I didn't even know. And my dad was like, I'm hearing that she is young. She's about 4 or 5 years old. I don't care how you get her out, you get her out. So that's what we did. Because my dad would always say something to me when I started working with people on sorcery allegations. He would tell me, you are not God to judge anyone, and you are not the police to charge anyone, but you must give respect to people and you must honor people as lives. And that is coming from someone that has been a pastor all his life, and his way of teaching me to honor has also made me want to do the same to other people. And that's what my dad always does. He's 4'5", but he's a giant to me, and I grew up on the shoulder of that 4'5" giant. He tells me that he doesn't take much to do what is right. It just takes one decision, and I've done that. And he died 2018 on the 29th of June. He died the way he lived, the Bible on his chest, smiling as he went. And I'm so happy to be known as his daughter, because I know that he gave me the greatest gift, and that was his legacy. And his legacy was honoring people, honoring lives, not to be in judgment of them, not to see them any lesser than they are, but to see them as humans, and every human deserves the right to be treated with dignity and with respect and with honor. And I've tried my best to live my life to do that to people. At the Carson Village of Hope, what we're looking at is a home, a refuge for women, children, both boys and girls, even for men, to have a place of refuge, a place where they will feel safe. They will also call it a home. It's a home for as long as they need it, for them to find themselves, to heal, because a lot of them, we know that they'll come with both physical and emotional scars. The reason why we have placed this, the Village of Hope, in a place where it's closer to a church is because we see that they can be able to be counseled, they can be able to be rehabilitated with ways in which to help them not only heal, but to grow as well. And one of the things that we also want to do at the Village of Hope is get people involved in being self-reliant. So we have programs that will be going on in economic empowerment. We also want to have a place where they can actually plant their own gardens. And Lord willing, in the long run, they can be able to either reintegrate it into another community or reintegrate it back into their own villages. Because again, that is another program we're looking at, working with churches, with the government, to have a lot of these families reintegrated into their own communities. Because when you integrate them into their own communities, you're also healing the community. In order to restore people's dignity and honor, Tribal Foundation also engages with orphanages around the country as well. Orphanages, because we believe in the future of this nation. Our mantra is, nation building is people building, and we cannot build the nation on broken people. We need to build this nation on strong, resilient people. And so going back to Tribal Foundation and my dad, having both of them working in this space has made me realize that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be, exactly where I'm supposed to be.